Welcome back to That Stitch-tastic Beginning Knitting. My name is Angela and I am your knitting instructor and as well as your yarn craft cheerleader. In this video, we are going to be learning the knit stitch. Now, we've already started by learning how to make a slip knot, and we've progressed to making our foundation row of stitches with the knit on, cast on. And now we're going to make our first real row of stitches with the knit stitch. And here's how we do that. Alright, so here we are. We have our foundation row of stitches. And you should have 15 stitches on your needle. If you don't have 15 stitches on your needle, that's okay. Just start with what you have. So I'm going to start with this needle with my 15 stitches, and I'm going to hold it in my left hand. Now, different knitters like to hold their needles different. I like to hold mine as if I'm holding a sort of like a steak knife. So my thumb and these two fingers right here will actually be the ones that hold the needle in between them. And then my right hand, I hold the other needle in my right hand the same way. Now some people hold their right hand needle as if it's a pencil and knit holding their needle this way. You can try that too and see if that's comfortable for you. But this is how I hold my needle. So now what we're going to do, we're going to scoot these stitches down a little bit closer to the end of our needle, but not so close that they're falling off. And again, I'm going to put my index finger on this stitch to hold it in place so it doesn't fall off. Then my right hand needle is going to go into the base through this stitch from front to back and crisscross and back. See? My right hand needle is going through the stitch and it's crossing and back behind my left hand needle. I'll show you that one more time. So I'm going to go into the stitch, and now I'm going to pick up my working yarn, and I'm going to wrap counterclockwise. So from underneath, around, over, and then this fingertip, I gently rest on this needle point to keep this yarn from falling off. And then I bring it through from back to front through the stitch, and here's my new stitch. Now this looks very similar to what we were doing with the knit on cast on. However, there's one small difference. We're not going to be adding this stitch onto the left hand needle, but we're going to leave this stitch on the right hand needle, and my old stitch will fall off the left hand needle. So your new stitches are going to stay on your right hand needle, and as you work, your old stitches will fall off the left hand needle. Let's try that again. Go into the stitch, again from the left side of the stitch, front to back, crisscross and back, wrap counterclockwise through to the front, and the old stitch falls off the left hand needle, and your new stitch stays on the right hand needle. Alright, let's do that again. Into the stitch, wrap counterclockwise, bring it through to the front, and let your old stitch fall off the left hand needle. There we go. Now, if you'd like to wrap using your left hand, I'm going to show you how to do it in these next 3 stitches. Go into the stitch, pick up the working yarn. Make sure you're using your working yarn and not your tail yarn. Wrap counterclockwise. Again, bring your your wrap through the stitch to the front, and the old stitch falls off the left hand needle. Now we have 4 new stitches. Alright, so we're going to do this again. Into this stitch, go into the next stitch. From the left side of the stitch, front to back, crisscross and back, wrap counterclockwise, bring through the front, and drop the old stitch off your left hand needle. Alright, so you're doing a great job. Keep going. So we're going to go into the stitch, wrap counterclockwise, bring your new stitch through to the front, keep it on the right hand needle, and your stitch on the left hand needle falls off. Again, into the stitch, wrap counterclockwise, through, and off. Now there's a rhyme that goes along with this, so I'm going to teach you the rhyme right now. It goes in through the front door, once around the back, peek through the window, and off jumps Jack. Again, it's in through the front door, once around the back, peek through the window, and off jumps Jack. Let's repeat it again all together. In through the front door, once around the back, peek through the window, and off jumps Jack. Alright, and as you can see, we are taking our old stitches, making new stitches, and the new stitches are making a new row on the right hand needle, and the old row, the foundation row, is getting shorter and shorter as this one is added to. So we should always have 15 stitches on our needle in this row. Alright, so let's finish these last 5 stitches together. Let's say the rhyme one more time. In through the front door, once around the back, peek through the window, and off jumps Jack. Alright, again I'll show you one more time. We're going into the base of the stitch from the left side of the stitch, front to back, wrap, come through to the front. This new stitch stays on the needle, and this old one falls off the left hand needle. Alright, we've got 3 more stitches. Alright. And we work the very last stitch just like we've worked all the others. So now all of our stitches are now on my right hand needle. Well, now we're ready to begin a new row, but first we have to turn our work so we can start our new row. So all you do is you take your needle and you turn your work so your working yarn is now on the right edge of the row and you're ready to start. Now, one thing to look out for, when you finish a row and you turn your work, sometimes this yarn likes to flip over, okay? and it looks like there's an extra stitch right here that you can work into. And you can actually work into both of these strands here, which would make an extra stitch. And that's not something we want to do right now. We don't want to add stitches right now. So when you finish a row and you turn your row, make sure that your working yarn stays at the base of your stitch. And then when you start the new row, always pick up your yarn from the back of the work. Okay? So now I'm going to show you how to start a new row. So we're going to just start by working into the stitch, this very first stitch, through the stitch, from front to back, wrap counterclockwise, bring the new stitch forward. This stitch now stays on the right hand needle, and this stitch falls off the left hand needle. Alright, I'm going to show you 3 more times. In through the stitch, wrap counterclockwise, through, and drop off. Now let's do one more and say the rhyme together. In through the front door, once around the back, peek through the window, and off jumps Jack. Alright, now that is the knit stitch. Keep working on your own to finish this row, and then keep making new rows until you have a practice piece that is about a square. So you want a practice piece that is almost as tall as your work is wide. Keep practicing on your own. Repeat this video if you need to review the knit stitch. Make your practice swatch, and I will see you in the next video.